The arrogance of King's Admiral Jinthar stood on the command deck of the Eternal Dominion, his 4 eyes gleaming with satisfaction as he gazed at the view screen. The flagship of the Valorian Empire stretched 3 kilometers from bow to stern, bristling with plasma cannons and quantum disruptors. It was a monument to their supremacy, a declaration that the Valorians had ascended to the pinnacle of galactic civilization, and now, drifting like cosmic debris near the Calthera Nebula, was something that shouldn't exist, a human ship. "Magnify," Jinthar commanded, his voice resonating through the bridge with practiced authority. The image expanded, revealing a vessel unlike anything in the Valorian databases. It was roughly 400 meters long, its hull a patchwork of metals that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. No visible weapons, no engine glow, no transponder signal, just silence and darkness, rotating slowly in the void like a forgotten tomb. "Scan results, Calyx?" Jinthar asked his junior sensor officer without looking away from the screen. Calyx, a young Valorian whose scales still shimmered with youth's iridescence, manipulated his console with nervous precision. "Initial readings are unusual, Admiral. The hull composition doesn't match any known alloy. Energy signatures are present, but indeterminate. The vessel appears to be powered down, but there are strange fluctuations." "Strange how?" Jinthar interrupted, his tone sharpening. I'm not certain, sir. The patterns seem almost organic, as if the ship is breathing." Laughter rippled across the bridge. Commander Vexler, Jinthar's second-in-command, clicked his mandibles in amusement. "Breathing? It's a derelict, Calyx. A relic from a dead species that barely mastered faster than light, traveled before collapsing under their own primitive aggression." More laughter. The story of humanity's extinction was taught to every species in the known galaxy, a cautionary tale about what happened when a civilization expanded too quickly without wisdom. Earth had fallen silent 2 centuries ago, its colonies scattered and dark, its people apparently consumed by war and plague. Good riddance, most agreed. Humanity had been too unpredictable, too emotional, too dangerous. Jinthar raised a clawed hand, silencing the bridge. "Deploy full-spectrum analysis. I want every sensor we have penetrating that hull. If the humans left any technology worth salvaging, the Empire will claim it." "Sir?" Calyx hesitated, his voice barely above a whisper. "Regulations require we report any human artifacts to the Galactic Council before. The Council is a bureaucracy of cowards." Jinthar snapped. "We found it. It's ours. Begin the scan." Calyx's fingers trembled slightly as he initiated the sequence. The Eternal Dominion hummed with power as its sensor arrays focused on the drifting human vessel. Invisible beams of quantum radiation, subspace resonance, and electromagnetic pulses washing over the derelict in overlapping waves. For 30 seconds, nothing happened. Then the data began flooding in. Calyx's eyes widened as his screens filled with information, scrolling faster than he could process. "Admiral, this is impossible. The hull isn't just metal. It's layered with materials I've never seen. 17 distinct compositions, each one acting as both armor and sensor array. The power core. Its reading is dormant, but the energy density is astronomical. If it were active, it would outclass our entire reactor grid." Vexler leaned forward, his amusement fading. "That can't be right. Human technology was centuries behind ours." "The scan doesn't lie," Calyx muttered, his fingers dancing across controls. Diving deeper. Accessing internal architecture. By the ASCENDANTS ... Report. Jinthar commanded. "The ship's interior is ... modular, but not in any conventional sense. Each section appears to be constructed with technology from different species. I'm detecting hive collective biointegration, mechanist convergence quantum processors, stellar dominion gravity wells, even fragments of extinct civilizations we only know from archaeological records. It's as if someone built a museum and made it functional. The bridge fell silent. Every officer stared at the viewscreen, where the human ship continued its slow, deliberate rotation. How is that possible? Vexler whispered. Humans barely explored beyond their local cluster. How would they have access to technology from across the galaxy? Jin-Thar's scales darkened Valorian sign of unease. Continue the scan. Find the crew compartments. I want to know who built this and why. Calyx worked frantically, his confidence crumbling with each new discovery. There are no crew compartments, Admiral. No life support systems. No quarters, no galley, no medical bay. Just ... Corridors connecting processing centers and storage nodes. It's as if the ship was never meant to carry living passengers. An automated probe? No, sir. It's too sophisticated. The computational architecture is beyond anything we've developed. Our AI is attempting to interface with the ship's systems to extract data logs, but... Calyx paused, his voice dropping to a horrified whisper. Admiral, our AI is behaving strangely. Define strangely. It's hesitating. I've never seen it do that before. It keeps running the same analysis loop, as if it's encountered something it can't process. Wait, it's trying to send me a message. Priority override. That should be impossible without my authorization. What does it say? Jin-Thar demanded, striding toward Calyx's station. Calyx's voice shook as he read the text appearing on his screen. Warning. Subject vessel is not inactive. Subject vessel is observing. Recommend immediate withdrawal. This unit has detected. The message cut off abruptly. Every light on the bridge flickered. Status. Jin-Thar roared. Chaos erupted across the command deck. Officers shouted over each other as systems began failing in cascading sequence. Navigation showed error codes. Weapons refused to respond. Even the environmental controls stuttered, causing the temperature to drop noticeably. Sir, the scan data is corrupting our systems. Calyx's voice cracked with panic. It's not just information, it's rewriting our code, changing protocols, adapting our AI's architecture. Vexler grabbed the Admiral's arm. We need to purge the systems. Now. But Jin-Thar couldn't look away from the view screen. Because the human ship had stopped rotating dot, it now faced them directly, and lights were beginning to glow across. Its hull soft, pulsing patterns that reminded Jin-Thar of a predator's eyes opening in darkness. Calyx, the Admiral said slowly, each word careful and measured. Are we still scanning that ship? The young officer checked his instruments, his scales pale with terror. No, sir. We stopped 30 seconds ago when the systems began failing. Then why are our sensors still receiving data from it? The question hung in the air like a death sentence. Calyx's screen suddenly cleared, displaying a single message in perfect Valorian script impossible. Because humanity had never learned the language. Scan complete. Catalog entry. Valorian Empire. Status. Insufficient development for direct contact. Classification. Protected. What does that mean? Vexler breathed. The human ship's lights brightened, and Jin-Thar finally understood the terrible truth. They hadn't been scanning it at all, it had been scanning them. The vessel's hull began shifting, panels sliding open to reveal arrays of technology that made the Eternal Dominion look like a child's toy. But it didn't fire. It didn't attack. Instead, it transmitted. The communication went everywhere quantum frequencies, subspace channels, hyperwave broadcasts spreading across the galaxy at speeds that shouldn't be possible. Every ship, every station, every civilization with the technology to receive signals suddenly, had access to the complete scan of the Eternal Dominion, and more than that. They received the Valorian Empire's entire digital history, extracted in seconds from systems the Valorians thought impenetrable. Military secrets, political conspiracies, hidden wars, suppressed knowledge, all of it laid bare for the galaxy to see. Shut it down. Jin Thar screamed. Weapons free. Destroy that ship. But the Eternal Dominion's weapons remained silent, no longer responding to Valorian commands. The flagship drifted helplessly as the human vessel completed its transmission and began to power down once more, its lights fading until it looked exactly as it had when they first discovered it, silent, dark, waiting. Galactic console chimed with an incoming message, this time from the Valorian High Command, transmitted simultaneously with identical messages from every major power in the galaxy. The message contained only 4 words, repeated in every known language. What are the humans? And in the silence of the Eternal Dominion's crippled bridge, Admiral Jin Thar realized that after 2 centuries of believing humanity extinct, the galaxy had just learned its most terrifying lesson. They had never known what humanity was at all. Asterisk. The truth humanity kept hidden in the Galactic Council chamber had never been designed for panic. But panic had found it anyway. Representatives from 47 civilizations crowded the circular hall on the neutral station of Concordia Prime, their voices rising in a cacophony of fear, anger, and confusion. Holographic displays flickered overhead, each showing the same horrifying data, the complete scan results transmitted by the human vessel, now replicated across every databank in known space. Ambassador Felinera of the Hive Collective clutched her thorax, her telepathic link to her queens unusually silent. The Mechanist Convergence's delegation stood frozen, their optical sensors dim as their networked consciousness struggled to process the implications. Even the proud Stellar Dominion's representatives, warrior poets, who claimed to fear nothing, spoken hushed. Uncertain tones dot the center of the chamber. Admiral Jin Thar stood before the council tribunal, his scales dulled with shame. The Eternal Dominion had limped back to Valorian space with half its systems still corrupted, trailing a wake of malfunctioning satellites and disabled defense stations. You scanned a human vessel, Counselor Murthax stated, her ancient voice cutting through the noise like a blade. The Archon was one of the oldest beings in the galaxy, her species existing long enough to remember when humanity first appeared in historical records. Despite all protocols, despite all warnings, and now the entire galaxy suffers the consequences of your arrogance. Jin Thar's voice was hollow. We all thought humanity was extinct, primitive. How could we have known? Known what? Murthax interrupted. That they were more advanced than you? That seems obvious now. But that's not the real question, is it? She gestured to the displays surrounding them. The real question is this. If humanity possessed technology capable of cataloging our entire civilization in seconds, technology that surpasses anything we've achieved, why did we ever believe they were primitive in the first place? The chamber fell silent. I've spent the past cycle reviewing the historical archives, Murthax continued, her voice growing softer, almost reverent. And I've made a discovery that should terrify us all. Humanity didn't appear in galactic records 2,000 years ago, as we've always believed. They appeared in our records. But human artifacts date back far, far longer. She activated a new display showing archaeological findings from across the galaxy. Ancient structures on uninhabited worlds. Derelict stations in dead systems. Fragments of technology buried beneath civilizations that considered themselves ancient. 12,000 years, Murthax whispered. That's how far back the oldest confirmed human artifacts date. 12,000 years before the Valorian Empire existed. before the Hive Collective achieved sentience, before most of our species had even discovered fire. Thelonera's telepathic voice finally broke through, shared with the entire chamber. Impossible. The Hive's oldest queens remember the first human ships. They were crude, slow. The humans asked for help, for guidance. Did they? Murthax asked gently. Or did they allow you to believe they needed help? Tell me, Ambassador, when did the great plague ravaging your breeding world suddenly stop? When did the solution appear? Thelonera's compound eyes widened. 300 cycles ago. Our scientists discovered. She stopped, the realization hitting her like a physical blow. No, they didn't discover it. The cure simply ... appeared in our databases. We assumed it was one of our own researchers, but no one claimed credit. The Mechanist Convergence experienced something similar, one of the robotic delegates stated, its voice for the first time carrying something like emotion. When our network nearly collapsed from the Cascade virus, the countermeasure code appeared simultaneously in 17 isolated systems. We attributed it to distributed processing, but the mathematics never made sense. No single node could have generated that solution. Voices erupted across the chamber as representatives from dozens of species shared similar stories. Mysterious solutions to existential crises. Technology appearing at precisely the right moment. Disasters averted by impossible coincidences. Murthax let them speak, let them remember, let the truth settle over them like ash. They were always here, she finally said. Not as conquerors, not as traders, as gardeners. Humanity seeded the galaxy with life, uplifted species who showed promise, and then, she paused, searching for the right word. They stepped back. They let us believe we had achieved everything ourselves. They watched from the shadows and intervened only when we faced extinction. Why? Jin-Thar asked, his voice breaking. Why would they hide? Why let us think we were alone? Before Murthax could answer, every display in the chamber went dark dot, then they flickered back to life, showing a single image. A woman. She appeared elderly by human standards. Her hair silver, her face lined with the kind of wisdom that came from witnessing ages pass. She wore simple clothes, a black uniform, with no insignia, no rank. Nothing to indicate authority, except the weight of her gaze. When she spoke, her voice carried across every communication channel in the galaxy simultaneously. Greetings, children of the stars. My name is Dr. Sarah Chun, and I am a keeper of the archive. I apologize for the dramatic introduction, but Admiral Jindar's scan of our Sentinel triggered a protocol we had hoped to delay for another century. You were not quite ready, but circumstances have forced our hand. The galaxy listened. Trillions of beings across thousands of worlds stopped what they were doing and watched as humanity's representative finally revealed the truth. 12,000 years ago, humanity achieved what you call ascension, the technological and biological merger that allows a species to transcend mortality, disease, and physical limitation. We had the power to reshape worlds, to bend physics to our will, to expand across the universe unopposed. Dr. Chun's expression grew somber, and we nearly destroyed ourselves with that power. We became arrogant. We believed our advancement gave us the right to impose our will on others. We conquered. We improved species, whether they wanted it or not. We played God, and we were terrible at it. She paused, her eyes distant with old pain. So we made a choice. We would stop. We would hide. We would let the galaxy develop naturally, at its own pace, making its own mistakes and achieving its own victories. We would only intervene to prevent extinction-level events, plagues, cosmic disasters, existential wars, and only in ways that left no trace of our involvement. The ships you've occasionally found drifting in space, the ones you called derelicts, Those are our sentinels. Archive vessels that observe, record, and protect. They're spread throughout the galaxy, thousands of them. Watching over you like parents, watch children learn to walk ready to catch you if you truly fall, but otherwise letting you find your own path. Thelonera's telepathic voice was small, almost childlike. You saved us. All of us, and you asked for nothing in return. We asked for the only thing that mattered, Dr. Chun replied softly. We asked that you grow, that you learn, that you become better than we were. And you have. Not perfectly, today's incident proves that, but you've developed remarkable civilizations. You've created art that moves us to tears. You've formed alliances across species barriers. You've achieved wonders. Admiral Jean-Thar found his voice. But the records say Earth went silent, that humanity died out. Dr. Chun smiled sadly. Earth didn't die. We preserved it as a memorial, a reminder of where we came from, kept pristine and untouched. As for humanity, we didn't die. We evolved. We spread across the galaxy in forms you never recognized. That trader who sold you medical supplies at exactly the right price. The asteroid miner who discovered that vein of rare minerals just when your economy needed it. The explorer who mapped that safe route through the dangerous sector. The implications crashed over the assembly like a wave. We've been among you all along, Dr. Chun confirmed. Living quietly, helping subtly, guiding gently, never taking credit, never demanding recognition. Because that's what parents do. They step back and let their children claim their own achievements. So what happens now? Murthax asked, her ancient voice tinged with something that might have been hope or fear. Now, Dr. Chun said, you have a choice. You can reject us, fear us, resent us for the deception. We would understand. We would respect that choice and fade even deeper into the shadows. Or, she leaned forward slightly, her expression warm. You can accept that humanity is your partner in the galaxy, not your master or your servant. We can work together openly. We can share knowledge as equals. We can explore the universe side by side. But understand this, her voice hardened. If you choose partnership, it comes with responsibility. No more petty wars. No more exploitation of developing species. No more arrogance like Admiral Jean-Thar displayed. Humanity will not rule you, but we will not allow you to repeat our mistakes. We've seen what happens when power isn't tempered with wisdom. We won't let you destroy yourselves. The chamber remained silent as the galaxy processed this ultimatum wrapped in kindness. Finally, Counselor Murthax rose from her seat, her ancient body trembling. On behalf of the Galactic Council, I have a question, Dr. Chun. Ask. In 12,000 years of watching us, of protecting us, of sacrificing your recognition for our growth, ... Murthax's voice cracked. Why? Why do you care so much about species that aren't even your own? Dr. Chun's smile was radiant, containing depths of emotion that transcended language. Because we were once like you, young, scared, stumbling through the dark, making terrible mistakes. And someone helped us. An even older species we now call the progenitors. They guided humanity through our infancy and vanished so completely that we thought we had achieved everything alone. She paused, her eyes glistening. When we finally discovered the truth, when we found their last message explaining what they'd done, we understood. The greatest gift you can give isn't technology or power. It's the belief in someone's potential. So we became what they were for us. We became the silent guardians, the hidden helpers, the ones who believe in you, even when you don't believe in yourselves. And now, Dr. Chun continued, you're ready to join that ancient chain. You're ready to learn that the galaxy isn't a hierarchy with humans at the top. It's a garden, and we're all gardeners. Together, we'll nurture the species that come after us, just as we were nurtured. That's the real purpose of advancement, not to stand alone at the summit, but to lift others up beside you. Across the chamber, representatives from dozens of species began to weep those who could. Others expressed emotion in their own ways. Telepathic harmonies, bioluminescent displays, quantum resonances of joy and relief and understanding. Admiral Jinthar collapsed to his knees, his scales shifting through colors that expressed shame, gratitude, and wonder. We've been so blind, so arrogant. How can you forgive us? There's nothing to forgive, Dr. Chun said gently. You're doing exactly what we did at your age. You're learning. And now you have the chance to learn faster, because you don't have to make all the mistakes we did. You have us to help you avoid them. She stood, preparing to end the transmission. The archive sentinels will continue their watch. But now, you know they're there. You know you're not alone. And when you're ready, truly ready, humanity will emerge fully from the shadows. We'll share everything. Our history, our technology, our failures and triumphs. Until then, keep growing. Keep reaching for the stars. Keep becoming the remarkable civilizations we know you can be. We'll be watching. We'll be helping. And we'll be proud of you every single day. The transmission ended, leaving the galaxy transformed dot in the days that followed. Humanity's presence became gradually more visible. Ships that had drifted as derelicts for centuries activated, revealing crews in suspended animation who had maintained their vigil across generations. Stations that seemed abandoned opened their doors, staffed by humans who had lived quiet lives maintaining the galaxy's infrastructure. And Earth itself, beautiful, pristine Earth, opened for visits. A living museum of where humanity began. But the greatest change wasn't in humanity's revelation. It was in how the galaxy saw itself, began sharing knowledge freely, emulating humanity's philosophy. Wars dissolved as civilizations realized they were all part of the same garden. Younger, developing species were contacted with care and respect, offered guidance without interference. And in the archive ships drifting through the void, human peepers watched with satisfaction as the galaxy took its next step toward maturity. Admiral Jinthar never returned to military command. Instead, he became humanity's student, learning the philosophy of cultivation over conquest. And years later, when he finally visited Earth, Dr. Chun herself greeted him at the Memorial Gardens. I scanned your ship because I was arrogant, he confessed, standing before the monument to humanity's old mistakes. I wanted to prove we were superior. Dr. Chun placed a gentle hand on his arm. And instead, you proved we were right to believe in you. You could have responded with violence or resentment. Instead, you chose humility and growth. That's why we watched over you, Admiral. Not because you were perfect, but because we saw your potential to become better. She smiled, gesturing to the stars above. Now comes the hard part, living up to it. But don't worry. We've been doing this for 12,000 years. We know a thing or two about parenting. And somewhere in the depths of space, an archive sentinel continued its eternal rotation, watching over a galaxy of children, learning to walk among the stars, no longer alone, and finally understanding they never had been. Asterisk.